We welcome you to the Lone Star State. It's the 4th annual MLS NEXT All-Star Game presented by Allstate. 44 of the young stars in the United States converge here in Austin to kickstart the All-Star festivities. Alongside Devin Kerr, Michael Wattrang, and our team with you for the action here tonight. So great to have you with us for tonight's action. Time to take a look at the players to watch, and we begin with a look at the West and Real Salt Lake's Van Parker, who is the MLS Next Cup MVP.
All-Star games are funny, right, Michael, because it is such a blend of talent, but it can also cause this influx of play at times. So that's why I lean on some of these skill position. An individual like Van Parker, who you look at his profile, so strong, right? He's got that stature that likes to play physically up against players, but he's got the speed to boot as well. Things can open up in games like this. That's why I like the idea of honing in on him early, allowing his team to open the game up a little bit, utilize his speed to his advantage, get him downhill running against the opposition early.
Looking at the East player to watch, it's one of the youngest players ever to appear in a Next All-Star Game. It is Chicago Fire's Robert Turdine.
Youngest maybe, but also the second most expensive homegrown in MLS history. Let that sit in for a second. Trailing only, yeah, the great Kevin Sullivan that we saw last year, who tore this game apart. And understanding that this is a playmaker for sure, but he's that new breed of 10, that goal-scoring 10 that likes to get forward-facing, still a really good distributor, but loves to tickle the nylon.
And we take a look at the West starting 11. The aforementioned Parker is up top. This is a talented group with a lot of different youth international players.
I mentioned early on, right, that it is about individuals and their talent coming together, but when it's about the group right now, which is what the West is going to be looking to, you're trying to find that glue to bring everybody together. The game will open up. There will be mistakes. That's why I look at someone like Isaiah Kakush within the midfield, a ball-playing midfielder who can drop onto the back line. Excellent vision, a really good understanding of time and space. This is when you have such an eclectic group of identities, you lean on someone like Isaiah Kakush, who's so comfortable within the midfield.
So as we close in on kickoff here tonight, we look at the Eastern Conference's starting 11, and one man that we did not highlight at the outset of this one, Cristiano Oliveira, 17-year-old from New England Revolution, had a game winner in the round of 32 at Rhode Island.
Already reps at that senior level with the Revolution, and Caleb Porter, Cup tournament as well. I want to drop back a little bit because in that build, you're going to see a lot of really good players on the ball. Breton and Judelson within the midfield. Holt and Pritchett control things on the back line. I'm really excited to see Liam Devon at that left back position. What we've seen from BJ Callahan in Nashville, he's gone a lot younger within his lineups. He wants to promote the growth of their youth development, and he wants guys that like to play with their ball at their feet and play up high. That's exactly what you get out of Liam Devon. They talk about his IQ and how he's always looking to advance everybody else in front of him. Gets a great opportunity to play with some of these guys tonight.
Time now for the coin toss in this matchup. You see Kakush there for the West. Getting ready for this one. You also have the honorary teammates for this one, Taylor Twellman and Diego Valeri, meeting inside the center circle for the opening kickoff here tonight. And just a part of the growth of this sport. Should expect about 1,200 in attendance for tonight's action. In the next 3 days here in Texas will be loads of fun with a skills competition tomorrow, and then wrapping up on Wednesday, a precursor to Leagues Cup with the MLS All-Stars taking on the League MX All-Stars on Wednesday. That kick is at 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And we are just about ready to roll here this evening. The 4th ever rendition of the MLS Next All-Star Game. The West have never won in regulation. The East twice winners. And in 2023, we went to penalties when the West did pull through after falling behind 2-0 in that contest. It's a great day for action here in the MLS Next All-Star Game. You see some shade where the fans are and sun where the benches are, but a brilliant night for action here in the 4th annual, the 2025 MLS Next All-Star Game. It's the West versus the East here tonight. Getting everybody settled in here and waiting for the opening whistle. 44 players, 22 on each side. Should have A fun night of action ahead with plenty of festivities. I have chats as well, interviews throughout the night. You'll want to hang with us as we watch this one. The ball is kicked and we are underway in the 2025 MLS Next All-Star Game. Michael Watrang, Devin Kerr, and the rest of our team with you tonight. And Devin, what do you expect out of tonight's match? What will we see out of this game? What I'm hoping we're going to see is excitement by the individuals to go and showcase themselves, right? As much as we talk about the group, and that's the most important thing, because we'll allow these guys to have success. I want them to feel free. You know, don't want them to be tentative, to have real confidence within their games so we can see the best of their abilities. That's what got them here in the first place. You watched last year as the West went ahead early and then some late theatrics from the East pulled through a 4-2 victory. Hopefully we get something similar in terms of the drama here tonight. Watching some of the youth's best 2008 to 2010 born players available for selection. Nearly 7,000 were available, and the top 44 are here. Some early pressure. Not the most fun game for a defender, certainly for a striker, a little bit more excitable. Well, that's what you think. As a defender, I got to tell you, playing in all-star games like this, it certainly is it's discombobulated, right? The organization is difficult to keep. You don't necessarily know what every single player's individual tendencies are. That being said, see a little bit more action on the back line. You get to get maybe a little bit more physical than you're used to. And again, you know, as a former center back, getting to play with some new partners, recognizing how different guys go about their business, what you can learn off of each other. That was one of the biggest takeaways for me. If I was at national team camp, you know, coming up through ODP, whether it was in high school at the travel level, when you got an opportunity to play with the best, you always picked up these things that, oh, you know what? I didn't think about doing that before, whether it was in training, something on the field. Always a ton of fun off the field, absolutely. But it's hard to deny the growth that you get out of opportunities like this. A lot of these young men have been youth international call-ups at one point or another. And then, of course, GA Cup up in Bradenton, Florida, or in Nashville for MLS Next Cup. A lot of familiarity between these groups, and what once were foes are now teammates here tonight. The West versus the East. The East in the white kits. It is the blue kits for the West. Chadwick rolls it back, loses possession. It's taken over here by the East. Chavez rolls it out wide. Cross loops around, headed to a dangerous location as Dennis pokes it away. And now the break on here for the West. Parker wants it in the middle. A lot of room on this right-hand side. Dennis waits. He picks. Dennis dashes. Dennis bumped off of it, and it rolls out for a goal kick. And as you mentioned, maybe a little bit of fun for the defenders here tonight, being able to block that one off. I love that initial ball play through, though, by Kadron Spivey. Notice nice, clean touches from all these players. Again, so much of it an open field to play, high speed. The energy's going to be out of the roof early on in the game. Really well controlled through really every single level we've seen so far. That's SB, the LAFC man. Rolls it all the way around. And now here comes the West once more. Tonight's match presented by Allstate. As I mentioned, to be eligible between 2008 and 2010, they competed during the MLS Next regular season or in some of the premier events throughout the year. You have 28 different MLS academies represented. 12 different MLS sides had multiple selections for this year's tournament. It's the fourth all-time East-West. Dearman dodges, stabs at it to poke it back. Devin beats Dennis, beats another man and rolls it back. Parker bounces. Parker splits defenders. Van Parker bounces races around men, shoots it off of the defender, and an early introduction from the MLS Next Cup MVP.
Certainly an untimely turnover in the midfield. Just pops out a little bit after Liam Devon finds the ball coming square back across. But he did a good idea to try and find the outlet. Unfortunately, Judelson lets it fly. This is what I was talking about in the open. Look at the power. Just so raw from Van Parker. Unreal to see him. You get him out in open space, electrifying. Flies by players. We talk about confidence. Van Parker is certainly not lacking for any in the early moments.
And now it is Isaiah Kikush. Prepares for this corner. The FC Dallas man slings it in. The header ends up wide. Nystrom tight ropes, but it does go out for a goal kick. This ball bounces in the middle of the field. Gets bobbled around. Leeming unable to find his target. Ball stolen away by August Nystrom, the Timberman. And now he loses possession. Numbers forward here, but this pass out of the reach as it trickles back to the Austin FC man, Nico Aristizabal. What does it mean to these young players to play in this kind of premier event?
It's different now, number one. The opportunity that is so much more regular for these young players to experience the bright lights, if you will, recognizing that it's the early evening. It's very different than when myself, we're going to get an opportunity to talk to lead MLS season pass analysts and former MLS great national team player Taylor Twellman in a little bit. I have a feeling he'll probably lead us in that direction as well. It's different because these opportunities are more regular. That being said, I would say the stakes are probably higher because of the recognition you get nationwide. There's a lot more eyes on you, so you always want to take advantage of the opportunity that's right in front of you. These guys are regularly getting call-ups to within their own organization, their second teams, first teams training, some of them making their way into first team rosters and long reps in preseason, as well as the youth national team, right? So that's when I talk about the stakes being higher. Development has never been this great within the United States. Always want to make sure you're at the highest level.
No foul whistled there as it rolls out.
I would say that all of that is a good reminder, and this will come from the coaches who will make sure that they respect the moment, right? Because this is still supposed to be about fun and pride, right? This is what it's on, is going out there and showcasing yourself. Certainly the organization that you're coming from, whatever MLS or MLS Next team that gives you the opportunity developmentally to go and showcase yourself, that's what you want to take pride in right now and say, hey, listen, I'm here for a reason. Let me show it, and let me show you everything else that's going on back home that allowed me the path to get here.
It has been an exciting several years with the development from the academy level. You join in MLS Next Pro to split some of those gaps, but you're also seeing some of the players that used to play in this All-Star game getting their chances at the top levels. Ben Hakamrowski, he scored in this game in 2022. What was an equalizer at the time. Of course, he's paired up with Leo Messi and company in Miami. Of Alex Freeman, who's starting to pinpoint his position with the U.S. men's national team, of course, with Orlando City. And these players hoping that their path looks similar over the coming years. Cornelius unable to hold off that little charge and commits the foul against Judelson.
It does feel like the pathway to pro is certainly stabilized in the best of ways over the years. I think early on what you saw was not only organizations looking to grab an identity, but also at the youth level, how are they going to attack that?
This ball fires across and skips out.
So it's not hard for us to have the conversation historically about teams like the Philadelphia Union, Seattle Sounders, FC Dallas. Those margins have slimmed now. some to a fault, where FC Dallas is going through a rebirth at the youth level. Now, there are a variety of reasons which we can get into for that, but now you're having conversations because of the expansion of the league, the quality of coaching, and the development of the player that now starts to really hit an upteenth degree. You're seeing guys coming out of the Midwest, right? Sporting Kansas City for a long period of time has been a part of that conversation, but now you can move into the Austins, you can move into Nashville, which are being represented here today. Long gone are the conversations of 3 or 4 clubs, Michael, where now we're talking about league-wide academies making an impact.
Well, skims off of Parker, rolls in and gets cleared. I think Van Parker in particular, a good example of that, Real Salt Lake, and what they've done with their youth, winning both GA Cup and MLS Next Cup at the U16 level. You're seeing that growth across the sport, and it's being showcased during Generation Adidas Cup every year against teams like Bayern Munich, Genk, Inter Milan and company. Well, we played 10 minutes. No goals so far. East versus West All-Star matchup. Michael Watring, Devin Kerr, and the rest of our team with you here for the 2025 MLS Next All-Star Game presented by Allstate.
And what you've seen over the opening 10 minutes, a fast start for the East squad in white. Certainly had control, but I would counter that by saying that the West was also willing to take what the game was giving to them, give them credit that they adjusted immediately. They didn't force it, so they just played a little bit of counter. Open space in behind, now they're starting to grow in the game, getting more comfortable on the ball. I really like the relationships in the midfield between Ronan Leeming and Isaiah Kikush. Kikush, one of the ones that we highlighted over the lineup. Comfort on the ball and starting to work teams inside out, really making that front line of pressure work.
Come the West, surging. Cornelius, the St. Louis City man, able to track that one down, and it goes to a throw. 16-year-old Vancouver Whitecap prospect. Sahil Dio throws. Across the field, Parker the target. Can't win the initial ball. Pritchett steps over and then just sticks it away, the DC United player. Dearman keeps it alive, but it does end up out. Devin across. Dio being pressured by Jakubovic. I think one of the things that sticks out to me, Devin, whenever I watch any MLS Next event is the maturity and the advanced development of these players. You sometimes tend to forget that a lot of these players are 15, 16, and 17 with how intelligent they are and how easy they are to handle some of these pressure moments.
Because of it, managers are willing to give them more freedom in play, right? I mean, you talk about the modern game and at the senior level positionally, how guys are allowed to wander, where they can attack spaces on the field. There's no chance anywhere in this country on a regular basis a decade ago you're letting 15, 16-year-olds play out of the back inside their own 18.
Tim Dennis, Minnesota United player, ahead to Spivey. Eddie Chadwick, back to Spivey, hooks this ball in, and it's a sliding stop from Atlanta United's Jonathan Ransom.
The important thing you need to hone in on that statement is regularly. That's not to say that it didn't happen. It's the fact that you're getting it at every single level from so many different organizations. So you're looking at a Kadron Spidey who, you know, there's 20 passes and 40 touches before the 10 rotates out of the pocket and you allow Van Parker to start to attack atop the 6. Again, really comfortable on the ball, sound decision making. If you watch, even on some of the quote unquote poor touches that they're having, when it doesn't go right for them the first time, they're not hitting the panic button. These guys are very calm on the ball, more than happy to step on it and then recycle to another avenue.
This is a great ball, threads the needle. Dancing inside of the box, tries to roll it back for Cornelius. It's intercepted. Our best chance in this game came in the 5th minute. Van Parker was 1 versus 3. Would get a shot off that Pritchett would block, but that really has been the only true goal-scoring chance for either side so far in this All-Star game. Here's Chadwick from LA Galaxy. Espy plays across the way at LAFC. Again, the East continue to pressure inside of the 18, but not forced to give away quite yet. Chadwick unleashes this pass. Parker shields, twirls, and cannot hold on to it, but Pritchett commits the foul.
There's that physical profile we talked about from Van Parker. I think Judah Pritchett actually does really well here. The unicorn, footed center back out of DC United. You know, the body positioning really well done here by Parker. Recognizes on the bounce on the turf, overruns it a little bit due to the English on the ball, adjusts himself, and the most important thing for Pritchett in that situation, establishing dominant position. He does that. Yeah, a foul comes out of it, but better to have that sort of professional foul and contact that high as opposed to letting someone like Van Parker in behind.
Leads to a free kick. Cornelius from St. Louis City, who has 6 appearances in MLS Next Pro this year. Connects on this pass to the back post. It's headed out of there twice. So no corner, no touch from the West. As it comes back, Cornelius takes it over. Chadwick slings this ball down the field. Picked back up by Dennis. And now the sprint on in the other direction, but given away. Kikush off the outside of the foot. Parker the target. And rolls back to Ransom, who's off his line quickly to put an end to that surge. Ransom, a Canadian U17 international, was with the Atlanta United U18 team at the GA Cup. Pritchett rolls it back, and Ransom to reset. Ball taken away by Chadwick. Leeming sets it back up. Across the field this goes. Dennis chases it down, keeps it in play. Devin shoves as it rolls out, and a corner kick. Oh, check that, goal kick.
Struggling for a little bit of rhythm up high right now, the East. Yeah, interesting when you watch him in the midfield, and I like the idea of it too, is what you get of Cristiano Oliveira, really comfortable centrally, but also likes to release up high, forward facing out onto that wing. They're playing him in down underneath with Judelson and just lacking a little bit of width in Breton. So Robert Tudine comes high. He's not really establishing a relationship with them. Moving into the midfield, this is one of those things that I talked about, Michael, that you get, that you're just going through the motions right now, trying to figure out exactly what tempo everybody's going to play at, what nerves are associated with it. where can you establish some comfortability early on with guys that you may have never seen in your entire life, and all of a sudden you're thrust into battle, right?
You had the media day earlier today, and a lot of these players were able to meet some of the first team stars and take pictures earlier today. I remember that first team man might have been Diego Luna with the Real Salt Lake players. Hani Mukhtar with Liam Devon. That's a good ball. A little bit of a hold, but doesn't slow down the speed here. Chipped into the box, headed away. Jakupovic had the ball, but couldn't find the pass. Minutes down in the 2025 MLS Next All-Star Game presented by Allstate. We're scoreless so far. And in the first 3 editions of this, the longest that it took to get the first goal of the match was in 2023. Adem Sipic scoring in the 25th minute. We bag a first half brace in that one. Do we have goals in the final 25 minutes of the first half of edition number 4? Defense backpedals away, and that allows for a lengthy run before it comes out wide. Here's Turdine. Turdine splits defenders, lays it back out. Chavez for an FC Cincinnati. Chavez touches it across. It comes out of the 18-yard box cleanly. Parker, quick turn, but handled well defensively by Pritchett.
I want to take you back to this build from the east. Much better collaborative efforts. Good ball by Judelson coming out of the back, and that touch right there gets him a little bit. Watch the defending though. This is what I talk about when no one's hitting the panic button. Nystrom on the back line. That's Tyson Espy, the center back from West team out of LAFC that's made himself quite a home. You know, there's a lot of big names on the attacking side here. Interestingly enough, similar to last year where you had the Philadelphia Union boys, namely Kevin Sullivan, the bright lights were on them. I was really impressed with the young center back out of Inter Miami last year called Kai McLean. He was just 16 years of age. If you weren't on the attacking side, every single defensive play went through him. Early on, you watch these 2 center backs. Nystrom on the ball, but Espy on that challenge just a second ago. Nice physical, good timing, and he's got excellent distribution and decision-making coming off of that back line.
Defense shining so far in this All-Star game. Which side blinks first? Skips over 1 foot. Men get tangled up, and ultimately it's Cornelius that is called for the infraction. Spivey chases this ball down, but Pritchett is able to recover. Still trying to hang on to the ball and just does nudge it past that last line of defense, and it leads to an East break. Good ball forward here. Jakupovic is offside as the flag comes up.
That's got to be the fashion favorite on the evening, correct? Gets my vote.
I haven't seen anything better yet.
The East is tightening up their pressure a little bit. A tiny bit of a shape change within the midfield, gone with a little more of that 2-2-2 stack, and release that bucket type shape. The idea is for them to play higher and eliminate balls like that coming through the middle. They have been able to do so. And they force it outside, just allowing a little bit too much time for the West to be pretty comfortable on the ball. Find some fluid movements coming up high.
Between that line, that pass goes to the middle of the field, but all the way back to Espy now. Turdine chases. Leeming provides the outlet. Over the top this ball goes. It's brought in initially. Dennis makes the run. Dio dashes. Dio's shot is fended off by Ransom.
So we talk about the modern game, right? This is an outside back who, and Sahil Dio, a little bit sloppy on the first touch, but excellent recovery. Notice how well he does to immediately make the turn back to it and then goes to work. Dragging the center back to the inside. Pritchett and Holt just struggling for a little bit of rhythm between those towers on the back line. Love how quick they have been inside the 18 to release and really go attack forward.
Isaiah Kukush from FC Dallas, who began his academy career with Real Salt Lake before moving to Barca Residency Academy. And now in the Dallas organization. Kukush slingshots this ball across, headed out. Dio is there. Rolls it to the corner flag, and Kukush is offside. Right-hand side, Chadwick brings it in. Has his pass deflected, but does gather it back. And it rolls out. These two teams being coached by Academy stars. The East being led by Orlando City Academy Director and U18 head coach Javier Carrillo, who led the Lions to their first ever GA Cup title in April. He's helped in the development of Alex Freeman and last year's MLS Next All-Star Colin Gusky. The West, meanwhile, coached by Austin FC U16 head coach Jason Shackle. Led the U16s to the quarterfinals in the GA Cup and the round of 32 at MLS Next Cup. Dio rolls this ball wide. Throw in here for the West.
Kadron Spivey, it's funny when we come into games like this, we draw comparisons, we look for historical relevance in either conference, right? And within this game specifically, Kadron Spivey reminds me of Xavier Gozo, the 10 from RSL. The way that he moves, certainly an alumni of this game, just sort of free-flowing, very upright in his stance. But you watch his head, he's always got it up, surveying around him. Love the vision of the 10.
Oliveira rewinds after Turdine made that long run. Nobody else joined the party. And a very defensive-minded opening half hour of this All-Star game. And now it's Turdine in space. Touches it across, but doesn't have enough on it to beat Kukush. And it's cleared back out to midfield. Ball given away right to Turdine. Rolls it for Jakupovic. His pass doesn't reach its destination. Dio is over. Kukush. Here's Spivey. realizes nobody else near him. Lays it back, leaning. Espy. Things getting cluttered in the attack. Other side finding those seams. Nystrom carries this ball forward, clips it off of a defender. Leaving. Rewinds. Nystrom flies this ball across, and Ransom, who has 4 starts this year for Atlanta United, 2 in MLS Next Pro, hauls it down. Just past the half-hour mark of this one, East and West scoreless in the 4th MLS Next All-Star Game presented by Allstate. Michael Watrank, Devin Kerr, and the rest of our team inviting you to come hang out with us as you get ready for all the festivities of MLS All-Star Week here in Austin, Texas. And this is just a precursor to the talent that we will see on display, not just this week, but throughout the rest of the year. Which of these players will make their imprints on the first team? And will they be before the end of the year or into next year? Espy. Espy thought about switching.
Yeah, he wanted that big ball to the corner, didn't he? Thought twice.
This ball given away, though. Jakupovic pounces. Cannot beat Nystrom. Yet again, the central defenders outclass the strikers.
I'm sure Lorenzo Cornelius, the left winger from the West, is going to be a bit unpleasant at the hydration break, given the amount of space he had. It does give you an idea of how versatile all of them are in their actions.
That's an excellent maneuver to the top of the 18. Trying to uncork one here as Cornelius leaves the defender behind. Cornelius curls it around. Dennis redirects it home. The West have the opener. Minnesota United 16-year-old Tim Dennis. 1-0 West.
And the 1-2 punch out of the midfield. We've spoken about Isaiah Kakush quite a few times, but do not sleep on his counterpart, Ronan Leeming. He's the one who releases this ball to the outside, right into the space that was just aforementioned. Notice the first touch right out in front of him. That allows Lorenzo Cornelius to start to go to work. And even when it looks like all avenues have been closed off, now you've got a player out of position in Oliveira, just a little bit slow. Forces the center back to rotate over a little bit late. Watch the feet, the hips. Great job in acceleration. The second that he sees him close himself down, you've got him right where you want. Drops that shoulder, utilizes his small stature in the best of ways to his ability. And an excellent run on the backside by Tim Dennis, the youngster out of Minnesota United. Way to crash the box.
Dennis scores the opening goal in this one. St. Louis City to Minnesota United. That's 17-year-old to 16-year-old. And the West get the breakthrough just before our hydration break. And what a finish that was, after it looked like perhaps the East were going to have the first say in this matchup. So a chance for these two sides to catch their breaths here, and a chance for them to talk things over here before the end of this first half. And will the East have a response? 1-0 the advantage for the West here in Austin, Texas. 1-0. West out in front. Dennis scoring, a man that joined Minnesota United at age 12 and played up with the U15s and U16s in this last year. Before the match, we had a chance to sit down and chat with Taylor Twellman, and I began by asking him how things have grown And the gap has closed in the United States compared to the rest of the world.
Man, how long do we have? I think when you really look at since Allstate got involved and tangibly wanted to close that gap after the United States men's national team failed to qualify for the World Cup in 2017, I think you had this real momentum behind the notion of we need to bridge the gap. We need to get rid of the gap. I think the exposure these players have, the fact that I'll be coaching 3 or 4 real players that are on the world market, the fact that German scouts are texting me this morning talking about the players and the projects that they are and where they could go in the future. It's important that Major League Soccer is a player on the world market, and it's important that they use the momentum given to them by Allstate to create this. The fact that we're going to have 1,200 fans here, it's been a great showing, and it's going to get even better.
Taylor, Devin Kerr here. You talked about what has happened, what could happen. If you had the ability to change 1 or 2 things right now to push it into overdrive, what would they be?
Well, I don't want to lose the moment. I think oftentimes we worry about yesterday, we fret about tomorrow, and we miss the moment. In saying that, ask me that question 10 years from now, when we're in this project of 15 plus years and we've now seen the real foundation be built, then we're cooking with gas. But as anything in life, you got to have time, and time's behind it. I think Major League Soccer's aligned now, which is something that they may not have said when I was playing in this league. The fact that they're aligned and they can grow things, and now they can move players on in the world market, they can move players within their pro pathway within Major League Soccer, whatever it may be. The fact is, Don Garber 5 years ago said Major League Soccer needed to be a player in the world market. They are that now. But I don't want to miss the moment and fret about tomorrow. So looking down the road too far, we may miss the opportunity, like tonight, where we may see the next superstar that's playing for the United States men's national team.
Our thanks to Taylor Twellman for stopping by and chatting with us before the match tonight, and the growth that we have in this, and we're seeing it on display here, and the 16-year-old Tim Dennis delivering the opener.
What Taylor mentioned, he didn't want to miss the moment, right? How we may be seeing the next star for the United States men's national team. Let's take Tim Dennis as an example here. Number one, ton of talent, right? You just saw the way that he was able to break down the game, read it in real time, and go and make an impact. He's actually the cousin of recent homegrown Darius Randall out of Minnesota United. The cool thing about how he found out he was being selected for this, Darius Randall and the previous 2 stars came and actually surprised him and said, hey, listen, we've all been a part of this. We're the alumni within this club, and you are now the next evolution of development within Minnesota United. Why do I bring that up, and how do I tie it together? At the dissolvement of the DA back in 2020, that was around for about 13 years overall. That initially started as the highest tiered system within the country, and then it started to pan out. One of the things that happened, and it got diluted. It got diluted by a bunch of clubs, number one, as they opened it up. Number two, some teams attacked it in a way that didn't necessarily benefit some of the young players. And what I mean by that is, at that point in time, Minnesota United were more focused on seasoned veterans coming into the organization and trying to make an immediate impact on the club. Fair play. That was the vision under Adrian Heath. But where they suffered was at the youth ranks. They didn't have this quality level and consistent pipeline coming through. Well, that changed. It changed about 2.5 years ago, just before Adrian Heath departed, and they brought in another crop of players that they felt like was going to be the next step. Eric Ramsey comes in. Cameron Knowles, who was part of the great Portland Timbers organization, while he was the interim, he's also been the assistant and recognizes what that pathway to development looks like, putting so many players in the Pacific Northwest. So when he talks about staying in the moment, making sure that we don't miss out on what could be, Tim Dennis is a great example of that, and how Minnesota United have tweaked their entire vision of what should be the future to come.
And it's paying off right now, too. They're third in the Western Conference at the All-Star break, 2 points behind San Diego for the top spot, and buoyed by a bunch of young talent that they have there. Tani Oluwaseyi leads the way with 9 goals for the year, the Canadian international. And will Tim Dennis be the next in line for Minnesota United. He has the opening goal tonight so far. 40th minute, West leading it 1-0 here in the 2025 MLS All-Star Game presented by Allstate. Michael Watring, Devin Kerr with you for our match here in Austin. All 11 players that started for both sides will play through. At the end of the first half, should have a fresh 11 for half number 2. This ball rolls forward. Dennis chases. This time, it is Liam Devon getting the better of the goal scorer. Rolls over. Will the East have a response here before halftime?
Still can't get over that move by Cornelius down in the corner. I mean, how quickly he was able to stop in his tracks, cut the other direction. You've really seen the East grow into the game and start to find a little bit more of building block within the midfield. Backline still struggling for overall tempo and some of that organization within that back four, specifically Pritchett and Holt. Just got to be a little bit more boisterous here. Take command. You're there for a reason, and there's one thing that's usually consistent at the center back position in general, but certainly at this level, and it's the willingness to take responsibility for the group that's in front of you, whether you've been around them or not.
You were just pointing out before that goal how frustrated maybe Cornelius could have been prior to that about not getting a long ball from across the field. And he showcases the skill set that he has. 6 appearances this year in Next Pro for Cornelius. He's also started with the U.S.'s U17 team, earning the side a spot in the U17 World Cup. Chadwick makes the turn. GA Cup best 11 selection forward for Van Parker. Parker tumbles, but it's a corner.
It's impressive movement off the defensive shape once again. Really nicely shaped balls that we've seen whipped into positionally challenge some of these defenders from the East. Certainly makes it a little bit easier for Jonathan Ransom in goal as the sun starts to set. This is what I was talking about. Look at the way that the ball's hit. That allows Van Parker to adjust his run. Good recovery by Wyatt Holt as he slides over here. Might get a little away with a little one there, to be honest. Better lucky than good. Don't tell mom.
West corner kick. FC Dallas's Isaiah Kakouche boomerangs in. Parker brings it down. Kakouche gets back onside. Whips another ball across. Ransom with the tall hands. Snares it. Nystrom leads the attack this time with Cornelius. He's feeling confident now. A good surge from Cornelius. Swings it back all the way. Kakouche settles. Kakouche crushes. And a tie.
That left side once again. Nash Demon, give him credit. Rotated back out of the pocket as he was trying to track the advanced run of August Nystrom. Just jumped the gun a little bit there and fancy footwork. He really does have an explosive system. Lorenzo Cornelius just real quick on the draw. Watch his body though. Always open to be able to attack multiple angles here. Michael, even standing on the far touchline, allows himself space. When he inverts, still comes in, doesn't close himself off so that options are so readily available.
Good touch from Spivey. Splits defenders, but has too much on that ball, looking for Parker. The West starting to find some rhythm now, but not a lot of time left in this first half. Leading at 1-0 against the East, and time again, a lead has not held up. If you look at every MLS Next All-Star Game, the team that scored first did not win. Rolling it out wide. That's a terrific run. Ultimately, in the end, Chavez cannot get the ball on target.
And not surprising, Ademar Chavez and Oliveira continue to link up here. They both started out wide, and with Oliveira dropping down in, he's certainly benefited Chavez off the quality ball movement out of the midfield. He just drags every single runner with him. You want your defender to make sure that you're not allowing those type of runs to continue on. The other side of that coin is you are moving him away from goal, and the organization was set properly.
2 minutes of stoppage time here in the first half. Foul given. It looks like Nystrom, the man that goes down. Well, what are your thoughts on what we've witnessed so far through 45?
Spoiled. It really is incredible to see the quality level of play that these young men bring to the field. Again, at such a young age. There's 2 players involved here tonight, born in 2010. I'm not great at math on the fly. You and I both know this. It's the worst spot to put me in, but 15 years of age. I hesitate to ask you what you were doing then. I'm certainly not going to answer that question myself. But just how amazingly adept they've been to step into the spotlight. Again, there have certainly been some growing pains for everyone. The West, the more comfortable, more threatening team. But you've seen at every single level. You've seen recovery runs in the back line, moments like this.
Parker holds on. Parker cuts back, chips it up top. Spivey has his shot denied. The back line recovers to deny a second.
I kind of like that, Michael. Untimely turnover, right? Where just a little sloppiness has gotten in the way. Good combination play. Wide variety of patterns, individual moments. Certain players have stung out. Both center backs from the West, Nystrom and Espy. Certainly Cornelius, Van Parker. I mean, I guess basically the entire front line, right? As good as they've been, consistent within the midfield. The East is trying to find their rhythm in their overall build. It's been a little bit more wide open for them, and the moments isolated because they've been compressed so deep. We haven't seen as much out of Jakupovic or Turdin, but they've been able to lean on players like Oliveira and Chavez.
This ball into the box. It's a good initial touch. On the twirl, the finish. Cristiano Oliveira scorches the strings and levels the score just before halftime. The New England Revolution man makes it 1-1.
You get an idea why just a season ago he led his U17 squad and all scores, 12 goals, 2 assists that year. The successes continue on, opportunities within the first team. Again, adapting to your environment, not the best of first touches, but the lack of pressure on him allows, look at that long stride, to make his way back in, drop that shoulder, come back across it. That's a great recovery from Cristiano Oliveira to give his team some momentum heading into halftime.
Oliveira had the game winner in the round of 32 of the U.S. Open Cup for the Revs at Rhode Island in the 88th minute. And on the final kick of the first half, Oliveira ties the 2025 MLS Next All-Star Game presented by Allstate. And what a way to finish the opening 45 minutes of play here in Austin. 1-1 is our score at the break. It took some time to get to this point, but in the final quarter hour, we see Dennis score for the West and Oliveira score for the East, and we sit level at 1 apiece through 45. You're watching the MLS Next All-Star Game presented by Allstate here in Austin. Back with more in a moment.
It's the MLS All-Stars against the Liga MX All-Stars.
Dangerous through ball into the pass here. Around the keepers.
And Gallardo gets it away. It's Paulinho. Oh, how good is that?
Ball in for Evander. It's set up nicely for him. And that's a lovely.
And this is well done. Oh, straight from the training ground.
Este verano la Leagues Cup regresa más fuerte que nunca. Comenzamos con 36 clubes. En la primera fase, cada equipo jugará contra 3 equipos de la liga rival para determinar su posición en la fase de eliminación directa.
The 4 top-seeded clubs from each league will move on, ensuring interleague matchups all the way through the quarterfinals.
3 naciones, 2 ligas y un solo campeón. En Leagues Cup 2025,
It's dominance on the line.
This summer, the center of the soccer world is right here. The world's best, the world's game, all in your backyard.
It's the MLS All-Stars against the Liga MX All-Stars. Messi, the ball!
One summer like no other. Learn more at MLSsoccer.com/summer.
The youngest MLS debutant, Kevin Sullivan.
Luna.
Yes! That is a banger! Absolute scorcher! Spectacular save from Dane St. Clair.
I got something that you never heard. Sounds sweet like a dessert. Ice cold, got you saying burn. Not the same, but you wish you were. Indie grind stepping, from a pole repping. L whips in with the ops, I'm a little weapon. Slide, bounce, go and get down. Come on, do it now, do it proud, just bless yourself. Sound good for your health.
It doesn't matter how you get there, as long as you rep your club in style.
You ready? MLS is game on. Dolce? On. Stars on.
Kevin Sullivan, the history maker.
Messi!
30,000 friends? On. Rivalries on.
Versus New York City.
MLS, this is our soccer. Game on.
We welcome you back here to Austin, Texas for the 2025 MLS Next All-Star Game presented by Allstate. Some late first half fireworks. Dennis for the West in the 32nd minute. Oliveira in stoppage time of the first half have us tied at 1 apiece. We had a chance to speak with Allstate Senior Manager of Sponsorships and Engagement Marketing, Ashley Kelly. I began by asking her about Allstate's overall brand commitment to the growth of soccer in the U.S.
Sure. So Allstate is very committed to the growth of soccer in the U.S. We're really passionate about partnering with groups that really focus on developing youth and elevating the success of soccer. You know, our main partnerships include starting at the grassroots level with Sueño Alianza in Black Star, to then the professional level with Major League Soccer, and then the U.S. men's and women's national team. Really, by partnering with these groups, we aim to protect the future of the game. And the MLS Next All-Star Game today is a great way to show that commitment to development and really put it on the main stage and watch these players shine.
Ashley, Devin Kerr, analyst here. Great to be back with you. See the continued growth between Allstate and MLS at every single level. So let's stay on that growth and talk about some of these incredible players that are here, but also how it encompasses every area of the United States. What does the MLS Next player development path mean to Allstate?
The MLS Next player development is a really exciting opportunity for Allstate as we look to nurture and showcase all this amazing talent within the youth soccer within the U.S. You know, today is not just a game. It's really a platform for these players to show off their skills and gain valuable experience as they take those next steps closer to the professional career. And at Allstate, we are so excited to be here supporting them and supporting just the continued growth and development of soccer within the U.S.
Ashley, thanks so much for the time. Enjoy the rest of the game.
Thank you so much.
It's the MLS All-Stars against the Liga MX All-Stars.
Dangerous through ball into the penalty area. Around the keepers.
Gallardo gets it away. It's Paulinho. Oh, how good is that? Ball in for Evander. It's set up nicely for him. And that's a lovely.
And this is well done. Oh, straight from the training ground.
Este verano la Leagues Cup regresa más fuerte que nunca. Comenzamos con 36 clubes. En la primera fase, cada equipo jugará contra 3 equipos de la liga rival para determinar su posición en la fase de eliminación directa.
The 4 top-seeded clubs from each league will move on, ensuring interleague matchups all the way through the quarterfinals.
3 naciones, 2 ligas y un solo campeón. En Leagues Cup 2025,
it's dominance on the line.
Something that you never heard. Sounds sweet like a dessert. Ice cold, got you saying burn. Not the same, but you wish you were. Indie grind stepping, from a pole repping. Crowd whips in with the ops, I'm a little weapon. Slide, bounce, go and get down. Come on, do it now, do it proud, just bless yourself. Sound good for your health.
It doesn't matter how you get there, as long as you rep your club in style.
You ready? MLS is game on. Dochi? On. Stars on.
Kevin Sullivan, the history maker.
30,000 friends? On. Rivalries on.
Versus New York City.
MLS, this is our soccer. Game on.
This summer, the center of the soccer world is right here. The world's best, the world's game, all in your backyard.
It's the MLS All-Stars against the Liga MX All-Stars.
Messi, the volley!
One summer like no other. Learn more at MLSsoccer.com/summer.
The youngest MLS debutant, Kevin Sullivan. Luna. Yes! That is a banger! Absolute scorcher! Spectacular save from Dane St. Clair.
Kicking off an exciting 3 days here in the Lone Star State for MLS All-Star festivities, beginning with the 2025 MLS Next All-Star Game presented by Allstate. Michael Watring, Devin Kerr watching some of the future stars in action, and it was all about the kickstart of this match. The long balls, the skill that we've witnessed so far in this game. This is Dio in the 26th.
The game was a little bit tight early on, right? So what we saw were isolated incidents where it was a lot of one-on-one situations. You didn't get the team build. We weren't surprised by that because these guys don't have a lot of experience together. But about a half an hour in, then you started to really see their high level of footballing IQs and combination play take full advantage of the opposition going forward. Specifically Renzo Cornelius. The final 20 minutes of the first half, he was incredible. One-on-one on the outside. Notice how quick taps this shoulder, spins back to the byline, sends Wyatt Holt sliding, and then that crashing run by Tim Dennis from the right wing. Knows exactly where to be. Attacking the top of the 6 on the little cutback, and the West had the lead 1-0.
That was in the 32nd minute. Cornelius showcasing his skills all around to be able to produce this goal. Never going to stop looking at this, but this pass to Kikush. He hit this ball hard. Cornelius started to really settle in to this match with his passing.
You look at someone like Lorenzo Cornelius on the first one, head down, driving, trying to utilize his skill set. This time, head up the entirety of the way. Love the communication that came from the midfield about where the secondary runs were coming from. We kept an eye on Isaiah Kikush the majority of the first half. What ended up happening here is the onslaught of pressure just pushed itself higher and higher. So it was much more difficult for the East to play out of the back. They end up hitting the reset button a little bit too early. That allowed the West to regain possession, and you saw chance after chance. The good news for the East is there was a bright spot. Just before halftime, Cristiano Oliveira. The East were taken down on a counterattack, and although it's not the best of first touches, as we mentioned on air in real time, he did an excellent job in his recovery movement, creating himself space, spinning on the dime, and pulling one back.
And that's where we sit through 45 minutes of action here in Austin. What a piece. We'll take a look at the new 11s that hit the field for the second half of this match when we return to Austin.
It's the MLS All-Stars against the Liga MX All-Stars.
Dangerous through ball into the penalty area. Around the keepers.
Gallardo gets it away. It's Paulinho. Oh, how good is that? Ball in for Evander. It's set up nicely for him. And that's a lovely.
This is well done. Oh, straight from the training ground.
Este verano la Leagues Cup regresa más fuerte que nunca. Comenzamos con 36 clubes. En la primera fase, cada equipo jugará contra 3 equipos de la liga rival para determinar su posición en la fase de eliminación directa.
The 4 top-seeded clubs from each league will move on, ensuring interleague matchups all the way through the quarterfinals.
3 naciones, 2 ligas y un solo campeón. En Leagues Cup 2025,
it's dominance on the line.
This summer, the center of the soccer world is right here. The world's best, the world's game, all in your backyard.
It's the MLS All-Stars against the Liga MX All-Stars. Messi, the ball!
One summer like no other. Learn more at MLSsoccer.com/summer.
The youngest MLS debutant, Kevin Sullivan. Luna. Yes! That is a banger! Absolute scorcher! Spectacular save from Dane St. Clair.
Take a look at the new 11 for the West and the wealth of talent on display yet again. Rylan Hashimoto is the GA Cup U16 MVP. What stands out to you?
I'm actually going to start on the opposite end of the pitch with Jack Korkamp in goal, the young man from Sporting Kansas City, homegrown last December, 5th youngest player in club history, the youngest at the goalkeeping position. I've seen him firsthand at trainings with the first team, an opportunity to see him on the sidelines, good explosive behavior, and his tall frame at 6'3". The way that he moves smaller than that, but he can cover every inch and more in the goal for this All-Star squad.
Conversely, for the East, this is how their 11 will look, and we talk about one GA Cup MVP on one side, and how about the U18 GA Cup MVP, Gustavo Caraballo, is in the lineup for half 2.
He's one of the ones that I talked about in the first half that already has reps with the first team at Orlando City. Pro pedigree, his father played at the senior level as well. We'll tell you more about that. But shapeshifter, especially the way that Josh Macedo likes to get up high, expect Caraballo to come down in, and then keep an eye on Curvin Kerr, number 19 up top. A record season for Toronto FC in the U16s. 58 goals across all competitions for the striker.
So, new 11s and a new tale here in half number 2. It is 1-1 between the East and West. The team that has scored first has never won in the previous 3 years of MLS Next All-Star festivities. It's the West in the blue, the East in the white, and the second half gets started here in this matchup with the West on the ball. And here we go. Michael Watring, Devin Kerr, and the rest of our team watching the 2025 MLS Next All-Star Game presented by Allstate here in Austin, Texas. And a new batch of players to familiarize yourself with a talent that we'll witness on the field throughout the rest of this game. And perhaps the MVP of this game will come from one of the 22 on the field here in half number 2. Devin, what sticks out to you when you look at how these two teams might adjust in this second half with the players now on the field?
The fact that all the great play we saw in the first half is gone. It's like, listen, the night's about opportunity, right? Celebrating these great young men, what they've been able to accomplish within their own squads, and just the ability to even get to this point, individual moment or not, to be paired alongside some other great players. And as awesome as the first 45 minutes was, now you get to start over. So, you know, we saw guys on the back line, Tyson Epsy and August Nystrom. They did a really good job controlling the back line for the West. Now you're looking at someone like Isaac Enriquez, who's going to come in and see if he can pick up that momentum right away.
Well, to reset things, almost half of the 2025 MLS Next All-Stars have been signed to homegrown deals already. And you have 8 different youth national teams represented by the 44 players on these 2 clubs representing the MLS Next All-Star Game. So here in the second half, how will things sort out? In the last 3 years, we've seen 5 goals scored after the 80th minute. So we could be in for another late surge. This ball rolls wide, it gets touched back, but right in the pathway, and it has to be a save here by Kortkamp on a nearly catastrophic moment that Kerr angled in. That was a back pass that ended up right at Kerr, and Kortkamp was fortunate enough to get a piece. Here's Caraballo wearing the captain's armband. Peter Molinari from NYCFC hits this ball across the park. Daniel Barrett gets there first against Prince 4-4. And the Columbus Crew player, who was a GA Cup U16 Best 11 pick, throws it in. You have to think that there's a little bit of an advantage for these players to be able to watch 45 minutes, to kind of be able to see what the speed of the game looks like, how the two sides are playing, and to be able to settle in maybe some of those nerves for the first 45 before going out for the second half.
The problem is the profile of every single player has now changed, right? And you don't really have the opportunity as a manager, because of the lack of reps you get with players. You're not going to establish a true identity to this team. You just want to put some values in front of them and say, listen, this is how we're going to build. Usually there's less freedom within some of these integral positions, like the center back spot, some of your 6s and 8s, the players that really control the tempo of your squad. So I'm with you on the sense of, okay, maybe how the turf runs, what does the heat feel like? You know, the anticipation and excitement starts to calm a little bit. At least that's your hope as a player. But it is going to change the overall identity of what you saw in the first 45 minutes, and that's just on you to adjust, communicate with your teammates, and adjust accordingly moving forward.
And there's no doubt some motivation for these players to be that hero. 2022, your MVP was Orlando City's Fabian Loyola. 2023, it was Seattle Sounders goalkeeper Mohamed Short. And in 2024, it was Kevin Sullivan from Philly Union. Who will be the 4th MVP? Amari. Cibrian. 4-4.
Was he young or older? He was probably
His coach is trying to put the right pieces of the pie together. Push forward, 4-4, can't keep it in. Players ranging from 15 to 17 years old on the field. A lot of these young stars will start to work their ways up. If they haven't already debuted for MLS Next Pro, you'd expect to see some of them make their appearances towards the end of this season. If not, maybe see a couple of these young men impact the first team. Leagues Cup certainly an opportunity for some. A foul whistle. Graham Ford. There's the Residency Academy. Along the sideline, knocked out, punched across. Uranga, Caraballo, crosses! Caraballo scores! What an introduction by the U18 GA Cup MVP, Orlando City's Gustavo Caraballo puts the East out in front with a laser.
That's exactly why I told you to watch him. The way that he inverts himself, they get up high, and he just chases the game. On his own terms is the key factor here, that left foot of his. You cannot give him this kind of time and space. First touch perfect. Notice his body positioning, Michael. The ability to go and attack, uses that low center of gravity on the outstretched strike into the bottom corner. Pedigree was what we talked about coming into this match. His dad playing for the Venezuelan men's national team. I saw him in preseason against Inter Miami, playing against guys like Lionel Messi, Jordi Alba, Sergio Busquets. Made himself right at home immediately into the match. Electrifying, and has done the same here in the opening 8 minutes of the second half.
Game opens up. Tyler Brown crosses this ball. It gets swept away by Macedo. Stays in play. Let's look for a rebuttal. Rolls this ball across, knocked away. A couple touches, and ultimately out to pick it up is Silowich from Baltimore Armor. To get back about Caraballo, when the lights are bright, that is when he plays at his best. You look at the GA Cup, he scored both goals in the final against Colorado Rapids, a 2-1 win. He scored twice in the semifinals. 4 of his 5 goals came in their final 2 matches, and the 16-year-old from Venezuela has the go-ahead goal for an East side that has never lost in regulation in 3 prior All-Star games. Ball bounces and gets headed back. Silowich, a minute to play at Maryland, and his amateur days are over. And the East now starting to feel confident how important that equalizer was in the first half. Caraballo chucks this ball behind his back. It's Macedo. Macedo crosses off the body of Ayala, out for a corner.
And that move right there, as well as the high line of pressure on the opening goal, allowed the ball play to the inside on Caraballo. That's Josh Macedo. There's 3 residency homes that have been established for the New England Revolution. He lives in one of them. Allowed these players to live next to the training facility adjacent to the Revolution's training center in Foxborough. They've been able to produce players like Esmir Bayraktarovic, Current first-team star outside back Peyton Miller. And another look at that modern fullback playing really high. Michael allowing themselves to morph the shape of the attack going forward. Caraballo benefiting from it.
Just feel a different gear being played right now by the East. Here's 4-4. Touches it back. Eluding the first man, Andre Torilla, whose brother scored the 4th goal last year, Stefan. Quentin John, the captain of the U18 side for the MLS Next Cup Championship Inter Miami side. Here is 4-4, bringing it down. Prince 4-4, dodges, darts, curls, and cannot tuck it around. Check that, that was Jameer Johnson on that opportunity.
There's one constant thing that you're going to get out of a Philadelphia Union product, a winger that's willing to run at you. The work rate can never be understated. The quality of attack never undervalued. How good is that footwork? Makes the defender do the work for him. Notice how he just shifts the lower portion of his body. His ability to keep his torso upright, that's so difficult for a defender because you can't judge where the next move is coming from. It forces your head down, then he owns you. The attacker can see how he's moving your body to his advantage. Really well done by Jameer Johnson.
Is that something that's teachable or is that just natural?
That's a combination of both. You know, some players have it. You know, they want to attack the game. They feel comfortable. In certain positions, certainly you want them to feel that higher up. What happens usually is guys will have a certain level of comfort, but their head is down, and you need to teach them to be a little bit more free and have an understanding of the ball when it's not glued to their foot, or if it is glued, you still got their head up. They have the ability and skill set to be able to attack the game while keeping the head on a swivel, right? Then you can really challenge your surroundings.
Seeing the advanced styles of these young men on the surface tonight. The East have scored 2 unanswered. They really didn't have any shots to write home about until the end of the first half. And what seemed like a harmless foul near midfield in stoppage time. Felt like the West were going to go into half up 1-0. But a connection and a goal. And this ball brought down. It is Johnson, and Johnson powers this ball over everybody. West trying to find themselves now. Shinayala joined the Austin Academy in 2021, was the U16 team captain, and now getting a chance to play under the bright lights on his hometown. Well, you can see it at the bottom there, all the young fans that are in attendance today, hoping that one day they might be between the lines of this MLS Next All-Star Game. That's a delightful ball, but a heavy touch, however, by Tyler Brown. Hashimoto cannot take that ball away. Macedo. Caraballo. He can make magic happen on these long runs. Instead lays it back. Molinari across the field. 4-4, chests this to the surface. 4-4, splits defenders, lays it off. Caraballo. Defenders swarm. Caraballo darts to the touchline and watches it be last touched by the West. Corner for the East.
Certainly a different start to the half for the East, isn't it? Compared to what we saw in the first. Again, a new crop of players, Michael. Certainly a lot more confidence brimming on that front line. How's this?
4-4. Swings the leg and just does miss. Wide left.
And the outside back for the East had come all the way back across the join the Columbus Crew. January of 2024. Sir Wilfred Nancy is sitting somewhere waiting for that tape to show up on his desk, and what could be the future for one of the most flexible teams in all of MLS.
In the first half, the West defenders were winning every battle. Not the case here in this second half. Steele Cook, Ford slides that away. Here's Max Steelman from LA Galaxy. He hits the deck, slows the ball down with his left hand, gets back up. Steelman unable to dodge around that last defender as this hooks out and gets his team a corner out of this. More minutes in regulation to go. The East trailed 1-0 until stoppage time in the first half. New England's Oliveira made it 1-1, and then Orlando City's Caraballo in the 52nd made it 2-1 East. Corner kicks, slingshots back post. The header was won cleanly by Owen Jorgensen, who was one of the two 2010-born players, the youngest ever to compete from St. Louis City. But he misses that ball just wide left.
It's always interesting to me the journeys that some of these young men take. You know, it's easy to look at where players end up, right? And you think that all the development has taken place there. And you don't want to take anything away from the teams themselves and where they're currently situated, but the wealth of talent around this country, certainly everybody is seeking that next big generational product, right? But they don't always present themselves right away. Some of these guys are coming out at 9 years and you start to see them continue to take steps. Others, they're not mature until 14, 15, 16, and others even later in their career. Graham Ford's an interesting story. He's one of a few on this team that started off either in the RSL Arizona or him specifically that Barca Residency Academy. Oh!
And he gives it away. Johnson lines it up, rockets a ball off of a defender and out for a corner.
And one of the ones from the first half, Isaiah Kakush, RSL Arizona, Barca Residency, and now FC Dallas. Graham Ford's a young man who's with the Barcelona Residency Academy who has made its way into MLS Next. It's a club that years ago wasn't necessarily, we'll say, sought after within that sphere, right? Very well known at the academy level, has produced a ton of success at so many different ranks, but you still get opportunity outside of their own teams. Graham Ford is actually going to be taking a trip with former United States men's national team great Eric Winalda. He's actually the technical director at Las Vegas Sports Academy. And when I talk about the reach, it's players within this game. Jonah Jorgis, who was the captain of that RSL GA Cup team, the center back, he's going to be following him as well. Eric Winalda's son is going to be involved. They're actually going across the pond with a bunch of youth products. They're going to take on some of the best in Europe. He arranges the chance for the scouting department to take an even another step. So, you know, we talked to Taylor Twellman earlier, and he said, I don't want to lose this moment, right? The moment isn't just about one isolated situation. It's about growing the game for the greater good, for these young men to be acknowledged, not just here and now, but what the future can be. Namely, Bayer Leverkusen on August 2nd. What an opportunity for them to travel to Europe and get a chance to take on some of the world's best.
Graham Ford's older brother, Bodie, signed a deal with New Mexico United. He's just 17 years of age. This cross whips in. Siluich catches. You're watching the 2025 MLS Next All-Star Game presented by Allstate. The East have scored the last two. The go-ahead goal from Orlando City's Gustavo Caraballo in the 52nd minute is the difference in the match right now. Michael Watring, Devin Kerr, and the rest of our team enjoying the festivities tonight. A reminder that tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central, it'll be the Skills Challenge. Also have Goalie Wars in that as well, and then the All-Star Game. It's the MLS against Liga MX All-Stars on Wednesday night. Again, same time, 9 Eastern, 8 Central.
Notice how different the East move in this half compared to the first half. A real wide range of space between Chalila and Quentin John on that back line, allowing Prince 4-4 and John Macedo to push higher.
4-4 accelerates, runs into finally some resistance in Enriquez. Deon's a forced product that will move to Nashville for next season. Good touch. Space along that right side, but too much on it for Max Steelman to track it down, and it will be rolled out. Silovic watches it out.
This is a great learning experience too. It's not just everything that we've talked about already, but let's talk about staying in the moment. So you're about 20 minutes into the second half. It has certainly been dominated by the Eastern squad, right? Stark difference than what we saw by the West, certainly to close out the first. Players in the moment, sometimes emotion can get the best of you. Anxiety of trying to get up to speed. And what ends up happening is you become a little bit reactionary, and that's what you're seeing right now from some of these great talents from the West.
Here's this long distance shot from Tyler Brown. He was the U16 MLS Next MVP, 33 goals last season, but can't connect on that.
The fluidity of what will be, certainly at some point in time for the Eastern squad, it will be a bit better of a build. Unfortunately, that's benefited the East right now. The West is just a little bit slow, and especially with the high line that you're getting from the Eastern squad. Notice how many players they're willing to push up high. Excellent rotation out of the midfield. Arenga, Cibrian, Molinari given a lot of freedom to go attack. The inverting runs that we've seen from Cataballo. There's just so much movement that the back line's struggling a little bit to figure out where the threat's coming from.
Caraballo's cross gets knocking down. And it's Hashimoto, who's the GA Cup MVP. Loses possession of that ball. It gets nudged back. Caraballo nearly picked it up. Can the West counterpunch? A slide here. Whips this ball down the field, and Courtcamp hustles over. He was the youngest goalkeeper signing in Sporting Kansas City history at the time. And now at 17 years of age, launches this ball down the field. You talk about the learning experience. It's also a little bit of that, what a ball, nerves that sometimes come to you as a young man when you think about how many people are watching, what your future might lie into. You asked earlier what we might have been doing at that age. I wouldn't have been able to handle and withstand that pressure, knowing how many people were watching me, but these young men handling it with aplomb so far.
There's that whole line of raising your level to the moment. What ends up happening is this confidence comes with you. You feel like you can be a little bit more aggressive within your game. You feel more adventurous, like you can open it up, take some chances. Certainly can benefit from it. Can also hinder some overall performances, but the majority of what we've seen on the night has been the former, the ability for these young men to attack the game. How's that battle, by the way? Daniel Barrett, Jameer Johnson, and certainly the high line of Prince Porfor. A lot of 2v1 situations over there. So specific to each club what development is going to look like based upon what their game model is, meaning how they want to attack their opponent. You've always got core principles of how you're going to build, and then you tweak based upon what the opposition looks like. 4-4 on that left flank is a really good example of that. You know, as they try and get him higher and higher. There's on the ball right there. The whole idea is he wants to play the game high up, right? And he's got a lot of speed, but he's also got quality in the final third to be able to distribute. If you're Wilfred Nancy, who's in charge of the Columbus Crew, the amount of freedom that he gives you is absurd. And I mean that in the best of ways. He's the type of manager that really makes you rethink how the game is played. So opportunity comes out of that, but also, Michael, a lot of responsibility. As much freedom as you get, that means more ground coverage, more relationships, a higher level of communication. Even more so impressive why a young man like that is named to the GA Cup Best 11 this season, because not only are you trying to be able to make sure that you're making an impact on your team now, you're also trying to replicate a model overall that is going to benefit the first team eventually. You never know who's watching. That's the most important thing, is you don't understand at that moment whose eyes are upon you. And I promise you, especially with the success that the Columbus Crew have had and how well they've done with their scouting, that's the type of young player where Wilfred Nancy is always going to have his head on a swivel. And if he's not directly paying attention to you, you best believe that all the constituents around him are making sure they've clued into him.
And it's another reason why you're seeing a lot of these younger players get opportunities with the first team as quickly as they can, because the messaging is similar from the first team all the way down to the academies, understanding how all those opportunities can present themselves. And you mentioned Jack Courtcamp training with the first team. Gustavo Caraballo has played with the first team this season, including a couple goals in the U.S. Open Cup against Tampa Bay Rowdies. But having that messaging, having that understanding that if you perform at the level that can help the first team, your age does not matter at the end. You will have your opportunity to have an influence.
Excellent turn there.
Uranga, ambitious, however. 20 minutes to play in this one. The scoring got started by the West in the 32nd minute. Dennis finishing off of a Cornelius pass. And then at stoppage time, Cristiano Oliveira from New England Revolution. Oof, hard foul. Caraballo asking for a penalty. There will not be one. That tied it at 1, and Caraballo had the go-ahead in the 52nd minute. And that's where we sit right now in the 2025 MLS Next All-Star Game presented by Allstate. RSL's Hashimoto slams the brakes on. Hashimoto tries to find space, does so, hits it off of the defender's backside, and it rolls out. Andre Chirilla does the job defensively, and the West get a corner.
Well, that's what they want right there from Rylan Hashimoto. You can play him in the 10. Likes to operate in the left, play on the other wing as well. Notice how quickly he is on the draw, Michael, in that one-on-one situation.
This ball falls. Steele Cook bounces it off of the keeper, and it rolls in. FC Dallas's Steele Cook, the 15-year-old, ties the score at 2.
Throughout all this has been about opportunity, right? This is the youngest player in North Texas history to debut. With just 14 years, 9 months, and 8 days. 5th youngest debut in MLS Next Pro history. Positionally, just set himself up. Benefactor of the deflection or not, how's the form? This was always going to be a difficult one for Jonathan Ransom. Right in front of him, proximity difficult. The pathway nearly perfect. And the young pro in Steele Cook puts him out in front.
And now we get a hydration break. Score is level at 2 apiece. And this game just continues to have a flair for the dramatic. Last year, it was 2 apiece until Kevin Sullivan delivered a penalty kick in the 77th minute. Stefan Chirilla added the eventual final goal in the 90th minute to clinch a 4-2 Eastern Conference win. And we have had the lead change hand twice. We have pulled level now at 2 apiece. And this is exactly what you want from any All-Star game at any level, is back and forth, seesawing matchup. See Taylor Twellman having words with the Eastern Conference, and here's how this match is sorted out. 32nd minute, Cornelius gets the better of Holt and feeds Dennis, and then off of a free kick, Oliveira, 45+3. The last kick of the first half tied it at 1. Caraballo made it 2-1 East in the 52nd minute, and just moments ago, Steele Cook equalizes at 2 apiece. And that's where we sit right now, 2-2. And Devin, certainly we can talk about skill, we can talk about technique, we can talk about what happens on the field, but sometimes the most important part of an evaluation, the most important part of somebody's transition to the top tier is what happens mentally, and that's what we're going to learn about a lot of these players in the final quarter hour.
They still want to make sure that they're winning, right? I mean, at the end of the day, that's what this is about. And people at home are going to say, no, 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 this is about opportunity and this is about fun, and I'm with all of that. And yes, that's a part of it. But I promise you this, one of the most talked about things right now at the developmental level, when you start with youth players moving to high level of academies, certainly MLS Next Pro, the collegiate route, even when I'm having conversations with first team coaches on every single MLS match day on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV, they talk about competing and how we've missed the mark a little bit there, that we've started to develop high level of players technically, but the level of competition needs to come up multiple notches to continue to give us the advancement. Final 15 minutes to go, 2-2 game. This is what you're looking for.
The fans have gotten into it as well. And we sit tied at 2-2 with a quarter hour to play. Which side will have the bragging rights in 2025's MLS Next All-Star Game presented by Allstate? Michael Watring, Devin Kerr, and our team guiding you to the finish line here tonight. Great to have you with us, kicking off All-Star Week in MLS. Quick restart, Caraballo runs into defending, but gets it back. Orlando City's Caraballo beats one man, shoves off of a second, rolls it over. Johnson from Philly Union slows it down. Johnson hits this ball off of the crossbar. Second chance, Kortkamp keeps that out. But 4-4 torches the threads. Columbus Crew's Prince 4-4 has put the East back in front, 3-2.
Watch the way that Gustavo Caraballo shifts this entire back line from the West. Draws everybody in, including Graham Ford, who has to drop deep and apply pressure, and then patience. Johnson allows the overlapping run to hold that back forward just a tad bit longer. Heck of a strike. A bit unfortunate. One will never know as to whether or not that went in. Great reaction save by Kortkamp. The way that he has to drop his body, immediately set his shape, then come back over. Unfortunately, doesn't have proper coverage on the backside, but a really good job by just continuing this play on here by Prince 4-4. Just talking about that high line that you're allowed to have within the first team, Wilfred Nancy and Columbus Crew. Shades of greatness and what has been an Eastern Conference perennial showing up for the young academy player.
4-4, 16 years of age, was a U16 best 11 selection in this year's Generation Adidas Cup. Has debuted in Next Pro this season. And you mentioned freedom, responsibility, and 4-4 found the space at the right time after Kortkamp denied. Kerr on the dot. How does the West respond? It's Ayala. Ayala swings the leg. Silowicz knocks it away. Second ball boots across and rolls out. We still have 12 and a half minutes or so, and this is quite the electric showing in the last few minutes.
That's exactly what happened last year. You've referenced it a couple of times, how the scoreline seems to open up. The confidence brims a little bit further. As the sunshine starts to drop, the lights go on. Gets a little bit brighter, and the stars really start to shine.
Steelman twirls off of Caraballo. Touch, a tad hefty. Brought down here in the middle of the park by Aranga. Rolls it over to the left-hand side. Johnson dashes. Just does roll away, and Graham Ford takes over. Ford chucks this ball to the middle of the field, and a foul is given here. West appealing that there might have been an advantage. Instead, it's a free kick. Ayala takes fast. Tyler Brown rolls it over. Hit first time across, and Silowicz, a 16-year-old goalkeeper who grew up going to Maryland soccer games as a ball boy. Walked out with Dane St. Clair on St. Clair's senior night, and hopes that one day he will be able to join St. Clair at the highest of levels. He is committed to play at Maryland, made that commitment on June 5th. Touch by Steelman and a throw. for the East. The East took their 2-1 lead. The foot came off the gas just a little bit, and the West was able to pounce. Caraballo rolls that ball perfectly into the path of Macedo. Caraballo unable to get it back, but it is taken away. Uranga, Caraballo. Defenders converge again. He's already scored from around this distance. Dashes around two. This time his shot hit Enriquez. 4-4 launches off of the defender. Cibrian, 4-4. Johnson overlaps, but the flag up for offside. Final 10 minutes to go in the 2025 MLS Next All-Star Game presented by Allstate. The East is led twice, the West is led once, but Prince 4-4's goal in the 76th minute stands as the difference right now. Molinari. Kerr heads that. Barrett gets there first. There's space on this side. Ayala is going to track it down. Outlets it for Hashimoto. The GA Cup MVP. Runs into resistance from Uranga. Caraballo rolls it forward. Here's Kerr rather. He rolls it to a defender. Hashimoto need to get it around that first defender. Caraballo extends 4-4. 4-4 charges. Loses possession, however. Taken away by LA Galaxy's Max Steelman. Steelman races. Hits this ball high. It bounces. Brown tries to get there. Brown pokes it away. Brown with an easy finish to tie the score at 3.
That's just individual brilliance right there by Brown. Difficult for Ransom on the back line to judge it. The ball skips up a little bit on the turf and just causes it to check off the deflection. Smart here by Steelman, by the way. Notice his head up the entirety of the way. He hits the release button and off the deflection, the way that the ball bounces just takes a little bit of pace off of it. Much more difficult for Ransom to judge it. And what we've talked about multiple times tonight, Michael, no panic button. Really clean in decision-making by Trevor Brown. Just keeps a low center of gravity. Uses that quick burst to get out in front of him. Great touch around the goalkeeper for the equalizer.
Vancouver Whitecaps, Tyler Brown scores. And what a 2025 it has been. 17 goals in 12 appearances in January and February, was the MLS Next Player of the Month. Won the U16 MLS Next MVP, the first Canadian to win the award, and now has the equalizing goal here in the second half. Macedo tries to change that quickly. Off of a deflection, it rolls over. Johnson brings it down. He debates his choices. Barrett 1v1. Johnson, did that hit a hand? It did. A decisive call. And a penalty given.
I would say credit number one, first off, to that young man right there, Jackson Pomeroy. Good job on the initial explosion and placed a cutback over. Barrett's going to feel hard done in this situation. Watch the right arm as they get the cutback to the byline. It's unfortunate. You know, it's so difficult, Michael, as you slide over to keep that arm next to your body. It's not a natural position in a running motion, but as a young defender, it's something that you'll continue to learn as you get older. You got to keep that arm either right up next to the torso or in behind you.
So now it's Jameer Johnson from Philadelphia Union, who has scored an MLS Next Pro in his career. Johnson circles. Jameer Johnson for the lead, connects. Kortkamp is late to react. Johnson melts the mesh. The East have their third lead of the second half. 4-3.
And let's go back to the foul first and the handball that's caused. Jameer Johnson, simple little step over. I like it. The quick footwork creates space, also creates the penalty. And then what is a really well taken PK. I was with you. I thought Jack Kortkamp was a little bit slow in his reaction. If you notice, just the way that he steps comes up a little bit too high, trying to force the moment from Jameer Johnson instead. As many of the attackers as we've seen on the front line for both teams, to be fair, stayed really low. And that speedy footwork allows the East to go back out in front.
It's the highest scoring MLS Next All-Star Game in the 4 years. And it's a third lead of this game for the East. And now they try to put the finishing touches on it. Johnson rolls it back. Johnson nudges this ball off of a defender and out for a corner. Each team have scored twice in the last 15 minutes. No rush here from the East. Holding the edge and now trying to hold off the West. This corner kick slingshots in, and the hard header by Andre Torilla from FC Cincinnati goes high. Can the West get an equalizer? Numbers on this side. Ayala rolls it out. Tyler Brown, who has already scored. Brown pokes it, and Silowich paws it off. Corner kick. Back post. Off of a shoulder. And goal kick. In 2023, LAFC's Adrian Wabowo scored in the 89th minute to tie the score and send it to extra time. That would eventually see the West win in pens. Last year, Stefan Chirilla from FC Cincinnati scored in the 90th minute to make it 4-2. Are we set up for another late strike in this one? We've seen 5 goals in the second half. after we were tied at 1 at the break. This ball bounces, it's juggled, it ricochets off of Brown, and it's picked up by Steelman. Steelman hustles to the touchline, crosses it over. Hashimoto watches the ball roll out. Five minutes of stoppage time.
That there will be a minimum of 5 minutes.
Plenty of time for something to happen. Caraballo. Macedo heaves it across. First time connection. Ricochets off of Barrett and out for a corner. Not had much time to catch our breaths here in the second half with all the goal scoring we've witnessed. There's this corner kick. Laces to the back post, and it's headed high and out. Great Chirillo, the target. Court Camp's got to go fast if the West are to get a couple more chances at this. A foul on Chirillo.
You know, Watson the water at his family dinner. Parents have figured out a formula.
They started in the Philly Union Academy before joining FC Cincinnati. Natives of Allentown, Pennsylvania. And back-to-back brothers in the MLS Next All-Star Game. And Andre trying to follow in Stefan's footsteps and winning the game for the East. Enriquez. Steele Cook, who has one of the 5 second-half goals in this game. Hashimoto rolls this ball into a good pocket. Ayala gets taken down. Ayala steps back up, picks it up. Ayala tries to carve out some space. Eventually rolls it wide. Barrett sets it up. Barrett hammers it off of a defender. It stays in play, but Barrett has a juggle off of his boots and out.
How was that balance from Christian Ayala? Right atop the 18, all the players oncoming over the backside. Local boy does well. Christian Ayala, Austin FC, well represented. It's another one of those ones we talked about, though, kind of staying in the moment, right? Staying calm, and even though you're down 1, trying to find the equalizer, recognizing all the training that has given you the opportunity in the moment to go and cut one back. Here he is again. What a ball.
That's a terrific decision to play it out wide. Steelman doesn't get enough on that. He had the assist earlier to Brown that tied the score at 3, but just couldn't quite get enough on it.
That's a ridiculous ball from the youngster Graham Ford, though. Talked about him earlier, the trip that will be with Eric Winalda and Co., Barca Residency Academy product. You notice throughout the course of the half, he's going a little bit deeper and deeper, trying to get on the ball more, help his team move forward. 40-yard ball cut on a dime off that left foot of his. Very impressive.
So now perhaps the final minute of stoppage time. Will the West have one more opportunity to try to tie this score? Aranga. Macedo fell on the ball. And here goes Brown. Brown slices through the defense. Steelman juggles, bobbles, pokes. Silowich will try to bleed the clock dry now. And the Baltimore armor man hopes that this is the last touch of the ball. And indeed it is. Tradition continues. The team that concedes first wins the MLS Next All-Star Game as the East leads 3 different times in the second half and pulls away in the end to win it 4-3. What are your thoughts on what we witnessed, particularly in the second half of this matchup?
Well, I would say, listen, the game was more wide open in the second half. Certainly we saw an onslaught of attackers really willing to take the game on from the East. The response by the West, very impressive, but also understanding the discipline that was the opening 45 minutes. Players a little bit more tentative, but good structure, willing to chase the game model that had been put in front of them. This was incredible. If it was possible, better than last year. And that's not a knock on those players. There was just a different level brought into this game overall. Felt like last year, a little bit more individually based. This year, both groups, 4 different sets of starting 11s that we saw over the course of 90 minutes. An incredible display of young talent and certainly a bright future in this country and beyond.
The East has now won all 3 matches that have ended in regulation as they take out the West 4-3 in the 4th ever MLS Next All-Star Game. Goals aplenty here tonight in Austin, Texas. The final score is the East 4 and the West 3. We'll wrap things up when we come back. A 4-3 win for the East. Thanks so much for watching this one. For our entire crew and my partner Devin Kerr, I'm Michael Watrang saying so long for now. Good night, everybody.